Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Well, first tonight, emergency services are reiterating safety warnings after conducting multiple search and rescue missions from the state's wilderness over the weekend. National parks and reserves have been inundated with people keen to get outdoors. Now, authorities are reminding all Tasmanians of the importance of being prepared.
A long and busy weekend for the Westpac rescue helicopter with multiple separate incidents.
A little bit like a busy summer weekend, but we have been fairly quiet rescue-wise. A lot of people have obviously been cooped up in their homes, and I don't blame them for wanting to be out and about.
2 on Saturday, deployed for a man with an activated EPIRB and to search for a group who police say ventured out without food or warm clothing. Yesterday, rescuing 2 injured women from separate locations.
One was at Mount Direction near Risdon Brook Dam, and the other one was at Conningham on a track. Both of those were also in moderately challenging locations.
The importance of being prepared reiterated, particularly in Tasmania's unpredictable and dangerous weather conditions, especially checking the weather and taking a location beacon if heading remotely.
Making sure that you've got your thermals, your warm jacket, your rain jacket, adequate footwear and a bit of food. Just even then simple things like making sure that you've got your phone, a first aid kit, a space blanket if something does go wrong.
Crime kept police busy too, with a range of incidents including the ramming of a police car, allegedly by people driving a stolen truck. Fuelling concerns, increased workloads are adding more strain to an already stressed workforce.
All these incidents provide a cumulative effect, so it's not just the raw use of violence against our members, it's the traumatic situations, it's also going to situations highly emotive.
Louise Huber, 7 Tasmania News.
The staff at a supermarket have been threatened with a knife. Police say this man was attempting to leave the Coles at Bridgewater just before 6 o'clock last night without paying for items. Staff confronted him, but he threatened them with a knife and made off. The man is described as being in his mid-20s, average build, dark hair and with a fair complexion. Union members have voted overwhelmingly to accept a freeze on pay rises at the University of Tasmania. UTAS has revealed it will lose tens of millions of dollars this year and up to $120 million in the coming years because of COVID-19. The tertiary union has accepted a proposal to halt a planned 2% wage increase next month. The deal will see a restriction on forced redundancies. Between 60 to 80 jobs are expected to be saved. Well, this week marks what would have been the launch of the iconic Dark Mofo Festival, originally scheduled to get underway on Wednesday. While Tasmanians can't celebrate as normal this year, we've taken a look back at the event, its more controversial moments, and just how important it's become to lighting up our cold winter months.
Shining a light on Hobart, the festival that helped put Tasmania on the map. This week, thousands of visitors from near and far would have immersed themselves in the weird world of Dark Mofo, but it was a festival that would never go ahead.
Unfortunately, we've had to call the Dark Mofo 2020 version off this year due to coronavirus concerns, essentially.
Since 2013, the festival has lit up our long winter nights, but when it all began 7 years ago, that was not all that filled the skies over Hobart.
I don't know what it is. It's a fish or something.
Turtle. I think
Turtle?
it's a turtle.
Nipples on the side.
It was also the first time brave swimmers bared it all, taking to the water for the nude swim. But public nudity laws almost stood in the way.
The law doesn't provide anybody to swim in a public place without any clothes on.
Ultimately, it was allowed, and since then the event has become an iconic addition to the Tasmanian calendar. And as the festival grew, thousands now flock every year to the Winter Feast and art installations across the city. One memorable moment, artist Mike Parr buried deep below Hobart's Macquarie Street for 3 days.
I was determined to go the distance.
Others, like Project X, help deliver visitors straight into our bushfire-ravaged regions.
Spending time in those places is very important. It's not just some artistic whim.
While others were more controversial, this art piece sacrificing a bull, dividing the community.
All started ripping out everything.
Everything out of it, and then
it was really full on.
Then in 2018, the then Hobart Lord Mayor Ron Christie faced calls to resign after he said the festival was too controversial.
I have not backed down or stepped away from the personal comments I've made about the Dark Mofo Festival.
But there's no doubt it's the festival that shaped Tasmania, bringing millions of dollars and hundreds of thousands of tourists. This year, in tribute, Hobart's landmarks will be lit up red.
I'm sure that many in the community will also do things to celebrate the winter solstice, the darkest and shortest days of the year.
A festival that never shied away from the controversial, its absence making for a long, dark winter ahead. Michelle Wisby, 7 Tasmania News.
12 Tasmanians have been recognised in the Queen's Birthday Honours, among them Inspector Glenn Ball, who received the Australian Police Medal. Dr Rosemary Callingham, who has been appointed a member of the Order of Australia for her contribution to education, Hugh Hiskett for his significant service to Parliament, and Colleen McGann for 50 years of work in healthcare. While nationally, University of Sydney Chancellor Belinda Hutchinson, businesswoman Naomi Milgram and former Prime Minister Tony Abbott have been made a Companion of the Order of Australia. Mr Abbott's honour was for his contributions to border control and Indigenous Australians. His Liberal counterpart, Bronwyn Bishop, was also recognised for her service to Parliament. And due to some technical difficulties that we are having tonight, we've been unable to bring you our usual local coverage of the Queen's Birthday Awards. So apologies and congratulations to all of those Tasmanians who are celebrating. Well, the easing of coronavirus travel restrictions in time for the long weekend has proven to be a relief for many of our state's tourist destinations. Local attractions reopening across the state as Tasmanians travelled extensively to support local businesses.
After nearly 3 months of forced closure, staff and animals at Bonnarong were ready to come out of hibernation. The wildlife sanctuary opened again, taking advantage of the government's decision to ease restrictions earlier.
As soon as that happened, we decided to open as soon as possible, so we just needed a couple of days to make sure paths were all safe and all the COVID signage was up and that sort of thing, and then we're ready to fly.
Ground markings and signs reminding people of social distancing, while touching animals is off limits. Crowd numbers reduced to a trickle, with just 40 people on site at one time. Visitors encouraged to enjoy, but also keep it short.
We have asked people if they can sort of, limit their stay a little bit, so not sort of be here for maybe all day and give other people a go. But so far, everyone's just been fantastic. Pop in, have a bit of a relax.
At Richmond, the historic village was bustling with visitors. Local cafes kept busy as old and new customers returned in their droves, despite the limited numbers allowed.
Come from other suburbs around Hobart and come out to Richmond for a day trip and like to have a bit of lunch and a day in the town and go shopping and down to the bridge.
Patrons were on their knees in thanks at the Great Lakes Hotel. Meal times at the venue booked out across the entire weekend. The hotel's manager says other local outlets were also enjoying a boost.
Just things like having to fill the pie oven up 6 times. We've had some fairly severe frosts to busted pipes and seized taps, etc., etc. So there's been a bit of sale of that sort of hardware as well.
At Bicheno, some accommodation operators weren't as busy as predicted. Sandpiper's Cottages owners, however, are looking ahead, with inquiries flowing in for later in the month.
I think that's going to pick up. We're getting a lot of inquiries looking at later in the month in July over school holidays, etc.
A positive start, but a long rebuild awaits. John Hunt, 7 Tasmania News.
RSLs unable to fundraise because of COVID-19 have been told they won't be forgotten. The state government has set aside $500,000 to support clubs hard hit by the crisis. Beaconsfield has received a grant after it suffered major losses.
Without an Anzac Day, no breakfast, no no nothing, so we had an $8,000 and $9,000 loss.
So there are grants of up to $10,000 and then further grants of up to $25,000 to support and provide that support during this COVID-19 pandemic.
There are 10,500 Defence veterans in Tasmania. Tasmanian Senator has come under fire for a social media post relating to the Black Lives Matter movement. Labor MP Helen Polley shared this post on social media saying every life matters. She later apologised and removed the tweet, saying she had carelessly reposted the insensitive content and has always stood against racism. Well, several Tasmanian sports organisations are calling for an end on the timeout imposed by COVID-19. They say it's unfair indoor complexes are still restricted to 20 people, even after rules were relaxed for other sectors last week.
They're ready to bounce back into it. Last week, Kimbra Gym Sports was under the impression 40 people would be able to return to training.
And we had a call at 5:30 just to say, hey, the rules have changed, and it was just sort of gut-wrenching for us at the time to go, all right, what do we do now?
The number turned out to be 20. Plans are now on hold. For trampolinist Matthew French, training at home isn't ideal.
Anything we do has to be done through here. Like, we can do strength and flexibility work at home, but our sport is on the trampoline and we obviously need a trampoline to do that.
Basketball Tasmania has labelled it a backflip. The state's netballing and gymnastic groups also want answers. All say they had COVID-ready plans.
All we're asking for is for the sports to be treated exactly the same way as industries such as hospitality and pubs and clubs.
Councils are also becoming involved.
I know it's a priority for them, having spoken to the state government over the weekend, and I'm really confident that we'll have a resolution by the end of this week.
The government says it's just following public health advice.
The review is ongoing, whether it to be with respect to team sport or other matters, and we take advice of the Public Health Director.
Sean McComish, 7 Tasmania News.
The Tassie twins Kimmy and Ree are still on a high after taking out Season 8 of House Rules. The Launceston women celebrated their big win last night, reflecting on the wild renovation ride.
Friends and family watched on from Kimmy's newly renovated home the moment the twin sisters were crowned champions of House Rules High Stakes.
It's a 9.
Kimmy and Ree, that gives you a combined judges' score of 27.
It feels like it was so long ago, so it felt brand new again.
Yes.
So it was just like I remember all of this now.
Yeah. It's very surreal.
Week in, week out, the girls excelled, stunning judges with their transformations.
You get to do things that you never thought you'd do. You go to places that you wouldn't think you'd go to. You meet people that you'd never meet regularly, and you just do you change people's lives by doing their houses, and it's just next level.
Not only making their friends and family proud, but also their home state.
We're really Tassie proud.
We love Tassie.
Love Tassie, and just that we get to share this with the whole state and put us on the map kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I couldn't be prouder.
The twins have gained more than just a renovated house from the experience.
The friendships that we made that we weren't expecting to make was probably
the highlight.
The highlight, really.
Easily the highlight, yeah.
The pair are now $100,000 richer and are putting the dollars to good use.
I'm doing really boring stuff with my financial stability. So I'm going to give Mum some money. I'm going to pay off my car.
I actually just bought a house with my partner last week, so the $50,000 when it pops into our account will go towards actually being able to renovate instead of just living in it now, which would be really, really nice. The vision that I had will be able to come to life.
With a new set of skills and her sister by her side. Letitia Wallace, 7 Tasmania News.
Good evening, everyone. Temperatures below average today, especially in the north. Hobart and Burnie 14 degrees, 12 in Devonport and Launceston a cool 10. Around the state, the islands, Smithton, St Helens, Friendly Beaches and Ouse all saw a top of 13, 12 degrees in Lowhead, Grove and Strahan, and just 8 for Lyowini. Low cloud can be seen extending across Western Tasmania and the Bass Strait Islands. Skies are mostly clear elsewhere across the state. Further out, an extensive area of low cloud can be seen across the Bight, extending across parts of South Australia, Victoria and Tasmania. Convective cloud can be seen over Queensland, while a cold front can be seen to the south of Western Australia. Tomorrow's chart shows the high moving across the Tasman Sea, with troughs lingering about Queensland and New South Wales. A cold front will also approach Tasmania. West to northwesterly winds tomorrow, 10 to 20 knots, reaching 20 to 30 knots in the south. And there is a strong wind warning current for southern coastal waters between Tasman Island and Low Rocky Point. Partly cloudy and 14 in Hobart tomorrow, 13 in Adventure Bay and also partly cloudy, early frost and 9 in Tarraleah. Morning fog and 13 in Launceston, Devonport, late shower and 13 and cloudy in Bridport. Light shower or 2 and 13 degrees tomorrow in Burnie and Marrawar, Strahan also light showers and 13 degrees. And in the east, St Helens mostly sunny and 14, sunny and 13 in Swansea, and Whitemark cloudy and 14 degrees. Looking on to Wednesday now, showers about the north, west and far south, fine elsewhere. Showers extending statewide during the morning on Thursday. And on Friday, showers about the north and east, mainly fine elsewhere. 23 in Perth tomorrow, Adelaide 14, early fog in Melbourne, showers in Sydney and Brisbane, and 33 and sunny in Darwin. And currently Hobart 7 degrees and mostly clear and a cool 3 in Launceston, and Devonport partly cloudy and 5. And Kim, that's Monday's weather.
That's all your news for now. I'll be back later with updates. Thanks for joining us tonight. Good night.